Good evening and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. I'm your host, Dorothy Odell. I'm super excited because I want to bring up an amazing guest who has been kind of doing the same thing on her social media platform this month. And I thought, what better way than to collaborate together and bring some amazing memories together. So Janet Biswadi, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. And it's been a while since we did this.
Yes, sorry. Mine pasty white. And, I am from Ontario, Canada. And so I didn't realize how pasty I was. All right. So anyhow, yes, welcome, Janet. And so I noticed Janet started around the same time in December about posting memories of Christmas. And so that's why I decided, I don't know about you, why you started it, but I woke up December 1st and God's like, okay, historically, December is not the most wonderful month for me. A lot of family members gone and my uncle taking his life on Christmas Day. There's a lot there. And not that I let it affect me the way I used to let it affect me, but it's still, there's like, I don't know, it feels like, all the loved ones are missing. And so Janet, yeah, I saw your post and I thought, let's do this together. Let's bring up the collective consciousness here around this time. We're both in the mental health space. We both help veterans. You yourself was a first responder, and so was your husband. So thank you for your service, both of you. I know you were in dispatch, but same thing. Yeah. You served.
We're actually the first.
Yes, the first contact. So thank you for that. But yeah, share a little bit about why you decided to start that this December.
Do you know what? I like sharing stories, and I was thinking back over the years of my memories, and I've been toying about doing a memoir. And what better way than to start sharing? And one thing that because you brought it up, it's not always an easy time for some people. My childhood Christmases were pretty cool. And actually, my last post, I'm behind, but I want to ask people, what stops you? Because I'll share what stopped me here. And I will come back to it, but it was sort of like, oh, the memory, I had to really think about it. And so I posted I was going to share the tale of two grannies. So both my grandmothers we call Granny. And my mom's mom was a British background, UK, Scotch, Welsh, English. And so going to her place was very, very different than my other grandmother. And we always had to be very prim and proper. If we stayed at Granny's in Winnipeg, where she lived, us girls had to wear a dress and gloves to go on the bus with her. Now, you guys, I'm 71 years old, so you get an idea how long ago that was. And but we had to be very, things were very, very different at Granny's. And I'm trying to think of, all I can envision when I remember going there is a taffeta dress my mom made me. And I always wore blue. My sister's 10 and a half months younger. She always wore red or pink. And so we had matching dresses because my mom made all our clothes. Beautiful seamstress. And then my brother's 4 years younger than me, sitting on my dad's knee, and the picture of the 5 of us. And so whenever I think of going to Granny Archer's for Christmas, that's what I think of. But it sort of stalled me because the next day and the next day and the next day, I don't know whether it's because one memory is so different and I have so many fun and happy memories from my other granny. And they're both gone now. I love them dearly. My dad's gone now. But my other grandmother was Ukrainian and grew up very, very poor, whereas Granny Archer came from a more affluent family, right? So she didn't really lack for much. And Granny Rudolph, like there were 13 in the family, and they struggled. They were Ukrainian immigrant dirt farmers. And but she used to be in service to a wealthier caste, and learned how to serve hors d'oeuvres and stuff. And that's going to Granny Rudolph's small house, but we had, I always envision them taking a door off and laying it out so we can all have like a mixture Ukrainian, because my grandfather was Swiss German, and all of this food. And Granny she'd have a little hors d'oeuvres, smoked oysters on crackers with a little bit of ketchup, and all these cousins running around. And there was freedom there, more restriction at the other one. And so I want to honor both because I love them both dearly, but both very different memories. And I think that people can relate to that. You'll have some good and you'll have others that sort of stop you in the tracks and say, wow, I never really thought of it. So yeah, I'm getting up to doing the second Granny and all that went with that, and the memories around that. And so keep following.
I love that. It's funny because God said, like, originally the idea was to think of the good memories that you had with your loved ones that are no longer here. And I thought, okay, so each day I'm just going to share a little bit about my relative that's no longer here, and then the gifts that they gave me, which could have been, gifts of being funny, or their humor, their sense of humor, or something that they used to do that now passed on down to us. Like they used to make pierogies in my one family, right? And so now we do that as a tradition. And the first 4 days was easy, and then after that, like here I am at day 15, and I'm like, not every memory was great, right? And they're, but I mean, the family, so you still love them anyways. But trying to think of a lot of this, and being the oldest, I've seen more.
Yeah, I was the oldest out of all the grandchildren on both sides of the family.
Yeah. But then it's funny because I got over a hump, and then I started to remember growing up, especially at the Graham's house, at my dad's parents' house. There was always fun. Of course, there's a lot more cousins over there, and especially when my uncle came home from service, right? Because he was stationed out in Calgary, out there in the Air Force or Armed Forces, sorry. So it was, when he come home, it was, to me, it was always better, Uncle Brian come home, and a lot different memories, and he'd dress up as Santa, and then of course you remember that old ugly candy dish that my grandmother had.
Oh, the hard candy with the ribbon candy
yes, or jujubes, because she liked that. But the candy dish was hideous. It was bright pink with like dots of green on it. I don't know if the green was supposed to be leaves, but anyways, it was hideous. But I remember this thing. I don't know if my cousin has it. I don't think my dad had it. I don't know, whoever got it, bless you, because keep it for your kids. So having, and then of course, back in the day, we don't have them now, but they used to have the big wooden bowls with the walnuts in it with the
I know, we were just at the store the other day, and they had a big box full of it, but they had the nutcrackers there too. Remember, we had to use the nutcrackers to get, and then they had the pick to get the
pick. Yep. That was always on the coffee table. My grandparents had this, I don't know who has it. It was a ginormous coffee table, and it had, on one half it was glass, and on the other half you could put magazines on it. Well, and that's where all this stuff was. Okay, so my grandparents had old gold shag carpeting. Like, it was disgusting.
Now you're dating me, because we had shag carpeting in our first home.
I mean, and then the old hideous red couch. Like, it was red with this wild black, black and gold, and design through it. I got a picture this morning. I didn't upload it into here, but I went through some of the old books this morning to try and get some of the pictures up. And I was just like, man, that thing was ugly. Gold shank carpeting with this red couch and chair. I was just like, well, I don't know what the hell my grandparents were thinking, but
that was the style though. We had red shag carpet, and we had a sectional that was white with black and gold swirls on it, and that's what we ordered it brand new. We ordered a mobile home, and we picked out everything. That was in 1973.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That is so awesome. But yeah, those were the good old days. So, and it kind of reminded me that there was a time in my life where I had that childlike wonder and things like that, because some days I do get caught up in the other part of it, right? The part of like, we became a certain age and then life got a little bit more difficult and taking care of different people and things like that. And it's just like, I had not remembered those times in such a long time. So it got me to start thinking about, wait a minute, be that little girl again, bring her out in these seasons where it could be difficult, and just remember her. She does exist.
It's also your gift in doing that is to remind people that they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know what, on the outside, a lot of people look like everything's wonderful and happy and healthy, and that we don't see the inside of the struggles that they have. And by sharing stories, I believe, is hopefully those that are struggling will be able to grasp a fun memory.
Mm-hmm.
And by hearing our own struggles and sadness, and that they realize that, there's other people that feel like that too. And they're doing things, and they're working at being better. And when their time is right, they have a reference point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. What would you say to somebody that, I love the fact that you said a reference point, because if you're struggling right now in this season, I like what you said, going back to a reference point, remembering the good times to help you get through these challenging times. What other tip do you think our listeners would glean from our experience?
Recreate that. Mm-hmm. Our kids are gone now. Our grandkids have their own lives, and we've got great grandchildren now. And it's not like it used to be. They live all over. So nobody comes home for Christmas anymore, because it's a distance for them to travel. And she's due to have our second great grandchild on the 30th of December. She's not traveling anywhere. And my daughter and my other granddaughter, they are working like on either side of Christmas. So they don't have that time to come away. Mm-hmm. So, but find something, find your family. Family has a connotation that it has to be all blood family, and it doesn't. And so one of the things I want to share today are how we created that extended family, because in 50 years, we have never been living close to our family. Our family's in Manitoba. We've lived in Vancouver. We've lived in Toronto, and we're in Alberta, settled in Alberta now. So we've never really been at that. We've made it home a few times over the years when the kids were little, but it still wasn't easy. As a first responder, we usually work Christmas. Right. So, we had to create our own celebrations and our own ways of, we were always of service. And that's still what makes me happy. And whether it's service to my family or whether it's service to somebody else, that's what makes my soul sing.
Mm-hmm. 100%. It's funny, because one of the things that I've wanted to do for decades is on Christmas to go serve a dinner or a lunch or something to the less fortunate. And I used to monthly go to the soup kitchen in Chatham, and we would serve breakfast to the homeless, or some of them weren't homeless, but they were, they were struggling financially, so they got to come in too. And that time, in the 2 years that I did that was, I would have to say, very, you forget your own struggles, you forget your own problems, right, when that happens. But also in the church that we were at in Thamesville, we decided that there was this woman named Cynthia that loves to cook and has a heart for the homeless as well. And so she cooked. We got enough funds together, and she cooked an entire Christmas meal. So Christmas morning, we actually did it Christmas morning. We went out, we met her out at the truck stop, got a bunch, and just went out and started delivering these meals on Christmas Day. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences that I've ever had. Mm-hmm. And we need to do it again. So as Cynthia is listening to this at one point, we need to get together and make that happen, because I think that's, to me, is what Christmas is all about.
We haven't done that yet, but very much on our mind. We're usually away at Christmas because we house sit all over the world. And the last two Christmases we were in Scotland, and this year we're home and we're not house sitting till after Christmas. And the kids, my son and daughter and some of the grandkids are coming next weekend, next Friday, for just a dinner. And we're just cooking favorites, and then they're going home. No gifts or anything. And I'm thinking, I said to Les, he found a local restaurant he was browsing through that has Ukrainian and German food, which is great. So I said, we're not doing a Christmas dinner or anything. Why don't we book the 23rd? It's not busy for anybody usually. And let's just have you and I have our own little Christmas celebration like that. I'm not going to cook any turkeys or anything, but that is on my list that I want to. And thank you for reminding me that, because I'll put it out there, have some connections out there that I would love more than anything to do that, to just, serve a dinner, plop something on, and just be there for conversation, because these people have stories, and I'm all about stories. And, they were children once. They had children maybe, and they had parents, and they had loved ones and stuff, but somewhere something got broken. Mm-hmm. And that's sad. Which leads me to what we did end up doing when our kids were younger. And this happened because I was a volunteer with the Laura Fraser Cancer Mount program. I was a coordinator for volunteers. And one of the volunteers looked after financial for people who had cancer and helped them with stuff. And our kids were about, 12, 13, 14. And we always tried to do memories at Christmas. Like I'd get tickets to something. The kids had things they needed. Les and I were both working, and they had events and stuff they went to. But we like to do something as a family. And somebody asked me not too long ago, so what are you giving people for Christmas? And I said, my time. Mm-hmm. Because that is valuable in itself. But we used to take the kids to a dinner or to a theater production or something, because I like the performing arts. Anyhow, this woman says, Janet, I've got a woman who's been diagnosed with cancer. She's a young family, and her husband just lost his job, and they had 2 young kids. And she wanted to see what we could do for her. And I says, look how about if our family adopts that family and does a hamper for them? And our kids were babysitting at the time, so I guess they were about 13, 14. They had to save half of their their babysitting money, and they had to put in for a gift for each of the kids. So this ended up being a real family thing, and a fun thing, because Les would take a grocery cart and I'd take a grocery cart and I would go pick up things that I think they needed. Well, we get to the cash register, and this is the first time we did it, right? Get to the cash register. His basket is full of treats. The kids stayed with him because he let them put anything they wanted in it. And we took everything and we did a box up and we made sure they had everything that, wasn't perfect, but made their Christmas a little better, right?
Right.
The kids, everybody had gifts. Now, our kids are 50 and 51 now. And we did that up until our grandkids until they started working. So early teens, right? Until they started jobs but over the years, and this is over 3 provinces that we've lived in. And so I would put out there, okay, who wants to be part of this? And it got to be a bunch of my friends would get together, and I worked with a social worker for some of it. I worked with a social worker, and we gave to single moms who'd left bad situations, right? So when they left, they had nothing. And just to give you an example, the very last one we did with all the friends and family, and we collected the stuff, people would donate money, people will buy stuff. I got the sizes of them. I've got what their favorite things were. And then I do a box, depending on the kid's age, I do a box of breakfast. I do a box for lunches. I do a box for kids baking and put a kid's cookbook in and all the ingredients, because mom can't afford maybe to go out and get the ingredients. But the very last one we had, they sent a 1-ton truck to pick up the boxes for mom. It was a single mom with 6 boys.
Oh my.
And we made sure that they all got, a pair of slippers or runners, an outfit, because I got their sizes. I got what their favorite reading was. But I didn't do that myself. This brought our community together of friends and family. But our Christmas then before Christmas was the day that we would wrap everything. And everybody'd come to the house and I'd cook. And everybody, when they left, got a jar of soup, a package of buns, usually jam. I was doing lots of canning and stuff at that time. And they'd all go home with their little gift bag. But the fun they had, even the kids, like Hannah at 5 years old was wrapping some for a little kid or something. And there was fun and there was laughter and there was food for whoever wanted to eat. And then when everybody left, Les went to where you get boxes if you're moving, and got boxes that were easy to lift, and we filled them. And then they sent somebody, or we would do it at the drop off. But in this case, this was a pretty big one. And it just gave us so much joy. And some of the people that did it with us didn't have families. So this was all part of bringing people together. And I think that's what Christmas is. It's not necessarily about blood relatives, but it's bringing community together, because not all of us have family close by.
Right.
And can do stuff like that. And it just now, and 1 year, I got everybody I put it out there to do a gift bag, which didn't work well. It was for the seniors homeless, or, it was Friendship Center. And we gave them all a gift basket or gift bag of toque, mitts, toothbrush, shampoo, everything, and we got about 100 people donated the stuff or money, and we just filled them. And so somebody says, maybe it'd be a good idea to give them backpacks next year, like these bags rip and stuff. So that's what we did the next year. And then I started working in the Arctic and never got back doing that again. But so this year, my thing is, as you saw, that I'm in another book that's coming out called Wounds to Wisdom. And that features stories from first responders, military, whatever. And here in Alberta, we've got 2 Veteran Association food banks, one in Edmonton and one in Calgary. So I've got a book signing coming up, and so I've partnered with them, and I'm going to have a box there for somebody, whoever wants to come. They might not want to buy a book, but they want to support me, and so bring a non-perishable item. So every time I go shopping now, I pick out something to go in the box. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money. Like if you're buying groceries, go through your cupboard. What's extra right now? Like I bought 2 cakes mixes a long time ago. I was going to make the kids something, but nobody came home. And I'm watching my weight, so I'm not eating that stuff. And I thought, okay, they're looking for cake mixes. Another thing, there was baby stuff on sale. So I bought a bunch of baby stuff for like really cheap. And that's in the box. And then I thought, my grandson is gluten-free, and I try and eat more gluten-free stuff. So I went specifically to the store and got a bag of gluten-free stuff.
Wow.
And it's things, and it's no detriment to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying my kids gifts. They have families of their own now. I may give them something throughout the year. Our big thing is memories. So if we go down to Red Deer, we get whoever's available and take them out for dinner. Now that's a memory. Yeah. So, that's what we've done over the years. And I don't care how old I am. That feeds my soul.
100%. I love that. I've always said creating memories as well. Like to me, I mean, granted, my stepson's 13, so my husband definitely wants to make sure there's still something under the tree for him.
Oh, of course.
But to me, I would rather we go to a sporting event, right? Like let's go to a football game instead of having all this stuff under the tree that is not going to be, they're not going to play with anymore anyways. I mean, now that he's a little bit older, he's not, he wants some certain clothes. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, instead of just buying useless things just to have under the tree, let's create a memory. Like you said, let's go to a game, or let's go do something else. And I think one of the very first years that we moved into this house, we've been at this house that will be 5 years in April. I took my stepson and we went, and the youth here in town, they have like a youth homeless center. And so I found out what was needed, grabbed a couple angels off the tree, and him and I went shopping, and we filled some gift bags for these kids, and then took it down to the youth center. And so, I had him come with me. He picked up a couple bags, and away we went in. And I think it was eye-opening for him. He loved it. He enjoyed it. And they gave him a letter in the mail saying thank you, because I didn't want any thank you, because that's not what it was about. It was just about making sure that our community had something. And so yeah, he really loved that, really enjoyed it. It's probably something we're going to have to continue, pick up again. But you're right. It's focusing on other people instead of focusing on us helps helps year round, but especially around this season.
Yeah. And you know what? I do it because it feeds me, and it's of service. And our kids and like I used to buy for my nieces and nephews, and that we stopped at 18. Like once they're 18, they don't need anything. And it wasn't anything big, but and same with our grandkids. And it's funny because I went to the store. I want this game. I want to learn how to play this game, because friends of ours had it and I played it with them. It was a little more complicated. My husband doesn't like playing games, and there's just the two of us, right? So I have one grandson and his partner live here in Edmonton. So I went and bought the game, and I got that. And then my granddaughter has her own place now, and down in High River. So that's about 4 hours away. And we went and stayed there twice now and visited her. And she only has one set of sheets. So we slept on the couch this last time. And so I bought her a set of sheets. So I'm telling everybody, I don't buy the kids Christmas presents. And I took Tristan the game, and I says, I want you to learn to play it so you can play it with me. And then I'm
Yeah.
going to give Hannah the sheets. I'm going to say, I'm giving you the sheets so we have clean sheets when we come to visit you. So, it's a gift maybe to me, but it builds memories. Anything we do, it doesn't have to break the bank.
Right.
And we go so much into debt. And I'm no different than the average person, because I want to give, and I want this for the kids, or I see this for the kids. And it's not about that, really. Christmas shouldn't be about that. And I think the reason I started doing the December thing, because I wanted people to remember it was so commercial. Like I was talking to somebody, there isn't one commercial that isn't wanting you to sell you something. Even our Christmas movies, and we love the Hallmark movies. They're light, they're lovely, but they put this perfect Christmas and everything comes out the same. There's a little bit of conflict in that. Life doesn't always work that way. And if we didn't have a mail strike on, I'd have Christmas cards at the table at the book signing for people to write a note to send to our military guys. And I probably can still get it to them. So I've got, when I talk to the Veterans Food Bank, I'm going down there to pick up a box on Thursday, and just see, like, if I get people to sign a card or write a note, can you make sure that they get sent overseas or wherever they go? And they have those, they should be able to. So we'll just have to play with that. But the thing is, think outside the box. You know what I do, what you do doesn't have to be what you do. Don't do something because somebody else is doing it.
Right. 100%.
Do what makes you feel good, and where you are. I know someone he works with. It's called it's a friendship senior. Anyways, the Senior Friendship Center, and most of them are homeless or very low income. And he works there, but he goes above and beyond his job to make sure these people are comfortable. Right. And do what makes you happy, and really, that's what we need to do.
100%. And it's funny because I've been doing that a lot more this month. There is so much that I could do with my business right now, and so many things that I know that have to get done, and I have zero desire to do it in the moment. And that's okay. I mean, yes, I want everything done yesterday, but I also have to give myself grace. And this is something that I've really been intentional on this year. So if anybody that's listening that is an overachiever, that likes to work around the clock, that thinks everything should be done, just so perfectly, give it up. Quit putting the pressure under for yourself, and just enjoy the moments, because at the end of the day, when it was a great reminder, my cousin passed away last week. So it was a great reminder that life is short. And at the end of the day, on my tombstone, it's not going to read how many hours she worked at work. It's going to be, what legacy did I leave behind for my family and for my friends, right? And I love that you said that family does not is blood, because a lot of my family is the family that I chose, right? And there have been so many from around the world. It's not even funny, the friendships that have been made. And so just giving yourself grace. I saw a post the other day on Facebook where it said, this is the time of the year of great reflection. And, what did we accomplish throughout the year? And for some people, just getting up was a huge accomplishment. And so I think we put too much pressure on ourselves of, did we get this goal, or, how many millions of dollars is in the bank? But the most important thing is, at the end of the day, is your family taken care of? Does your family know that you love them? Creating those lasting memories, because, fundamentally, we want to make sure that our family knows that they're loved, valued, and, the time. My gift is my presence and I don't mean what I wrap under the tree.
Yeah.
It's what I am giving to the world or giving to my family, right? My time is precious. And so, you know, when I'm willing to give you my time, that's huge. You know, or if somebody else is willing to give me their time. I don't take that lightly. I respect people's time, and you know, I just think that's important for people to remember.
Yeah, and the other thing is people can see you and I right now, and we look okay, and we're upbeat and that. But you know what? That's not always the case, especially with overachievers and people that go and go and go, and I've just been told I need a sleep pep, and because I'm not sleeping well, and somebody says, "Oh, Janet, you're going to have more energy," and I'm thinking, and then they say, "Oh no," but what people don't see is I do have that, and I go and I go and go, and then I have a crash day or two, and I just need to recharge, and I like I think it's Sweden. I don't know whether you've seen some of the Facebook posts where Christmas Eve they gift a book, and they spend, or Iceland, it might have been Iceland, and they exchange a book, and they spend the rest of the day or evening reading a book. And like, I can so do that. And if you can't afford a book, take your family, let's go to the library and pick out a book and come home and read. Like, you know, we're blessed that we have this available to us. Growing up where I lived, we were such a small town. We didn't have a library. They had a school library. And my mom was an avid reader, still is, and she's going to be 92. But she used to order, because we lived way out in the country, along 2.5 to 3 hours outside of Winnipeg. She used to go through the University of Manitoba. They had an extension library. So she had a little catalog, and she'd tick off what books she wanted to read, and they'd mail them out. And when you were finished, you mailed them back.
I love that. You know, you're
and
right.
Now we have ebooks. Right.
It's funny. I have a subscription to the Kindle Unlimited. So
yeah, me too. I got so many books in there.
It's ridiculous the amount of books I've read this year. Completely ridiculous. And a lot of them is for just pleasure. Right. I'm not a closet romance novelist reader, because I've openly said that several times throughout the year. But yeah, my aunt put me onto that.
And I tell people that, you know, when you have different, what do they call it? Different. When you have a large meal, you have different things coming.
Courses?
Huh?
Courses?
Yes, different courses, right? But between some of the courses, you have some sherbet or something to cleanse the palate. So for me, like, I read lots of, I like action and stuff, and I listen to lots of audiobooks that you can get through the library, no cost, right? And then but I read action and lots of nonfiction and educational stuff, and then every once in a while I have to cleanse my palate and read a cozy mystery. Or a Harlequin romance, or some Danielle Steele, or, you know, just those dreamy ones, Harlequin. But we all need variety. I don't read horror. That just, for some reason, I think in working where I worked as a dispatcher, we can envision too much. And when you read, you're right there. I am anyways. When I read a book, I'm absorbed into it. And I don't want to, action is one thing, but I know it can be historical fiction, but I know what it is. But some of the horror I can relate to actually maybe some of the calls I took.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? So then, and we're so sensitive when we're avid readers like that we get so absorbed in the book. I don't want to go there. You know, I like to be in another world.
Yeah.
And well, some people think I am.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking to myself, maybe I'm a little bit of addicted to this, but the thing of it is, our everyday lives can sometimes be a bit much, and depending on what we do for a living, like especially a first responder or somebody that's in active duty, um, we're in the thick of it, the 9 hours of the day, right? And so being in the thick of that, so what if we decide that we're going to read a romance novel when we get home? Who cares, right? That's something. At first I thought, well, maybe it was a diversion of real life. However, maybe it's taking my mind off everything that is around us, because
it gives your brain some downtime.
Exactly. So I'm not going to make myself wrong for it anymore. And you're right. There's only so much this brain can process in a day.
Yeah.
For work wise or business wise or things like that. You need the time to unwind and to live in a fantasy world, if that's what it takes to bring that down, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I can get so wrapped up in a book that the other night, usually I'm in bed by 8:30. I think it was Friday night. I didn't go to bed till 1:15 in the morning, which is not like me.
If you get a good book, you just can't put it down.
Well, that's the thing. I could not put it down. I was just so engrossed in it. I was just like, but then I'm like, oh, man, you're dumb because you got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So that was not the wisest decision. However, I wasn't tired. So
but you enjoyed the book.
I did. I enjoyed it.
There you go. Like, it's like play. How many adults play anymore? You watch children and they create and they learn and that, but they learn through play. Adults, when you get to a certain point, and when I was diagnosed with PTSD and I went through treatment, I realized I didn't laugh anymore. Mm-hmm. I'd forgotten to play. And I think it's so important for us. And I think even this, right? You and I talking like this inspires me. This gives me life. And if it helps share something for somebody else as a reminder, you've got to play, you've got to enjoy life. And you know what? I've gone through enough other stuff. You know what? Like I said, and I'll say it over and over again, I could have died when I was in a car accident at 49. 2 years later, I could have died of a pulmonary embolism, and just goes on and on and on. So I'm going to live every moment I have and enjoying it. There's some stuff we have to do. I'm looking at looking for a good housekeeper that'll not go, oh my God, I don't want to go in her house. To you know what, just to start cleaning and that. There's some things I can't reach and that, but it's just take care of yourself. Like, I want to be this energetic at 90 as I am now. And like God's shown me, he could take me out several times. He's got a job for me and I better live up to it. So here we are sharing stories and hoping people will realize that, live while you can instead of dying, waiting, or living, waiting to die. That's not an option for me.
Oh, you said so much in that last thing. So I've shared that my grandmother is 92 years old and she's got dementia. And for the last 20 years of her life, she has told me that she's ready to go. She's ready for God to take her. Like, she's just done. And it takes its toll on somebody when you've heard it for 20 years. And so now she's not in her right mind half the time. And so it can be a struggle. And there was a point to this story. And now it's kind of like what you said. What were we talking about just before that?
I said, a lot of people are living to die.
Oh, right.
Instead of.
Right. So thank you. And so here she is for 20 years. What could you have been doing in those 20 years instead of wishing your life away? Right. Or, okay, it's time to take me. Like, in 20 years, she could have done a whole lot. And so I don't ever want to look back on 20 years from now and say, well, I didn't do this because I thought I was going to die. Right. And no, let's live our life and let's live it the way we want to live it. And yeah.
So here's a tip. My mom's going to be 92 in January, and she has some dementia. She still knows me. I can phone her in that. The thing is I've been reading her these memory stories, and she remembers them, right? And she laughs because some of them are funny, and so when I go and visit my mom, I always, if she asks me 20 times the same question, I answer it. Mm. She loves curling. So my brother phones her and say, okay, Mom, turn on the TV, curling's on. And when I went to see her last year, I just sat in the room and we watched curling. I'm going to surprise her. Her birthday, January 13th. I'm going to surprise her for her 13th birthday, or her birthday on the 13th. She'll be 92. And somebody says, well, why don't you tell her ahead of time so she can anticipate it? And I says, no, because she won't remember. Mm-hmm. What did you have to eat for lunch today? I don't know. And she's still, like, last year she started walking with a walker because she'd had a fall. But she still reads. She's blind in one eye. She still reads. She still does a puzzle. My brother starts a puzzle, and she'll walk over and put something in, and he'll come over and do it. He lives close to her where her lodge is, and so it's about finding. Don't wait for that wake up call. Mm-hmm. And be your own advocate. Like, since all the health problems I had, I go into that doctor's office now and I say, I want this, this, and this. I want a borderline, and I want to see what's wrong because I think something might be wrong. And so I got a doctor. I've had her a year and a half now, and I've had to train her. My other doctor knew, okay, Janet's coming. She's going to tell me what she wants. But we have to be our own advocates. And I know that the system's broken. The thing is that even more so, we need to be our own advocate. But the thing is to really live your life and do it. Go back. I tell people that I work with, because I do coaching and mentoring and, of course, writing. And I tell them, write your obituary and use that as a blueprint for your life. And but that's a tool. But also go back to when you were a kid. Like, a lot of kids grew up, they wanted to be cowboys or firemen, but they wanted that. But what was the feeling you were looking for when you wanted that? Because it's not so much wanting what they're doing, it's the feeling that you want. Like, when I helped somebody on a call and it was resolved properly and I knew they were okay, that's one of the greatest things in the world. Mm-hmm. And so find that part of you, that purpose, because like my mom and like your grandmother, they've lost that sense of purpose. And my mom was very active. COVID was not kind. She was isolated. Mm-hmm. I didn't live close by, and so I wasn't in her bubble and couldn't go see her. But up until then, my mom used to take the train out from Manitoba to Alberta, and then I'd drive her home and we'd have a road trip. And we had fun. Like, we didn't care what we ate. If we wanted to have chips and Coke, that's what we had. But don't put restrictions on. Yes, in moderation. You want to stay healthy. You want to stay there. I've had my ups and downs. I'm in a pretty good place right now, health-wise. I just joined something. I don't know whether you've seen them on. I just going all over the place. On Facebook, they've got this Conquer Challenge. And you can walk to these different places and you get your steps and you put them in. And I'm walking to Dublin right now. They had a Black Friday sale for $1. And then I can purchase the medallion, the medal that comes with it. And you can do Machu Picchu. You can do the West Coast Trail. You can do the Cabot Trail. One of the people posted in the group, he's Canadian. He says, I did Banff. He says, I'm Canadian, but it was really neat to see how they did it. But I need more exercise. And it's just not the same. I'm not a gym person or weightlifter and that. I don't mind walking. So the other day when I went and bought the kids the stuff that I wanted, I thought, I'm at West Edmonton Mall. I'm going to buy I haven't got enough steps in. I better go walk around the mall a bit so I can get some steps. So I've walked 40 kilometers. I have, well, I guess a little more than that because I got 94 kilometers left to go. And they set you a date and you can change that date. But do you know what? It's a motivation. If you can't motivate yourself or you're challenged to motivate yourself, find something that does. I'm in a writing group. We just started a writing group and I facilitated, today was the first day. Like, I want to do more writing. Writing is in isolation most of the time, but when you have a writing group, find people that you love, that support you and love you. What is it? The 5 people you surround you with, that's who you are. You and I could go on forever.
Well, we could. And I love that you said that because last month I said to my husband, I'm like, I'm in this to get healthy. Yes, my body could release the weight and I'd be extremely happy. However, I'm in a place in my life where I'm in menopause and things are shifting all over the place. And I'm not in menopause. My body is in menopause.
Yes.
Let's be real about this.
Yes. Watch our language.
Watch your language. And I too had to go walk into my doctor's office a month and a half ago and say, listen, something is not right. And I want this and this and this tested. And so finally, she agrees with me to do this and get the test done. And lo and behold, I was right. Working on those challenges, right? And I have never in my life had hot flashes like these. But then I did some holistic stuff and it worked. And so thank you, Jesus, for that, because it was like I was living in hell every other minute. So I like what you said about being your own advocate, because you have to be, you have to be. And just don't stop at the first no. Keep going. But I did join a gym, and it's funny. He's 2 blocks away from me, and I walked by this guy's house for 3 years, and I wanted to see this because it's in the back of his house, and it's mini classes, but sometimes there's like only 4 or 5 of us in there, so it's almost like having a personal trainer. Really. And they're fun, and it gets me out of this house because I'm either at work working or in my office working. And I don't really I wasn't networking or socializing outside of the house until lately. So it's a great way to get out, meet new people, get the body toned.
The missing equation is play.
Yeah.
And we really need that in our lives, and I'm working on that. Save the date, probably April or May 2026. Something special's coming up.
I love that.
We'll have to talk about that later on, but you know what? I was like that. My cardiologist wants me to lose 50 pounds, and sent me to a weight loss person who gave me 2 options: drugs or calories. And I said to him, do you know anything about trauma in the body? No. Okay. Not working with you. And I saw a dietitian. And so I told her, again, asked her about trauma in the body. She'd give me some recipes and stuff. And I had 1 session left with the dietitian. And this is all in my cardiologist has this separate clinic, right, with all these specialists. And so I had my stress test and I had some other tests. And I thought, geez, I paid for this dietitian. I'm going to go back. I have 1 session left. And I knew the one I'd worked with was leaving and hadn't gone to the new one. And I went to this new one and I sat down and I said the same thing. I says, I don't think this is about food. And she was able to look at my blood work and stuff. And she looked at me, she says, Janet, I agree with you. Your body, the blood work that shows your body's so full of histamines. And it so gave me a whole list of foods not to eat and talked about the trauma in the body. And she says, I've got a holistic practitioner who is a trained physiotherapist, but does other work. and I'm referring you to her for the trauma in the body. What a difference. But we have to be our own advocate. And if we're not comfortable, same with psychologists. The first psychologist I said I saw, I wouldn't give you 2 cents for. The second one changed my life. Mm-hmm. And so we have to. And you know what? If you can't be an advocate for yourself, if you're having trouble talking about what you want, hey, give me a call. I'll sit down with you. We'll make a list and away you go, because it is so, so important. And sadly, our elderly probably wouldn't have the dimension they have if we did more by them. Like my mom fell. They didn't even get her into physiotherapy or anything. They didn't even tell us that she'd fallen. One of the women never even passed it on.
Wow. And
I was there visiting, and her knee was all swollen up. But you know what? I don't care what age you are. If you're still mobile and you're still breathing, give them the best of the medical care that they deserve. They earned it.
100%. So let's tell our audience, for those of the people that have never met you before, Janet, what is it that you do?
But you know, I'm a bit, one of the guys at work when I was working called me Janet from another planet. And I do a little bit of everything, but my passion is working with people and helping them move forward. And that's from wherever. If somebody, I write, I've got several books out that I either put together and out there. And one is called The Year the World Paused, Stories of Inspiration and Transformation. And that I did in 2021. My 2020 was very different. COVID was very different for me. I worked the whole time and traveled the whole time for work. And so I thought, if my life was different, there's got to be other people out there. And so that's what that book is all about, our stories. And they're from all over the world. Authors are from all over the world. And the one that just came out, I'm part of a group called The Power of Our Story. And that, again, 2020 came about, became a virtual thing that I ended up joining. And don't remember how I got it. But anyway, Sarah Carell is a founder, and she lives in San Diego. And she brought together, she heard a story from a veteran, and it changed her life. And her father died by suicide. And it shook her world. And then she met this veteran and heard his story. And she started this about sharing our stories. It's a non-judgmental. But anyways, this book, Wounds to Wisdom, is now out, came out in September. It's 29 authors, and each story is 1,500 words. We condensed it right down, and we share our stories, how our wounds became our wisdom. And one of the couples we house it for, they're neither first responders or are part of the first responder world. They're both reading it, and they came home. We were house sitting. They came home. He says, well, I read 2 chapters in one sitting. He says, Janet, you know how hard that is for me. And then his wife says, I'm on chapter 20 and he hasn't been able to get the book back. So, so you know what? It changes lives. If we can change one person from suffering in silence to realizing they've got so much value, and that by sharing our story, letting them know they're not alone. And I know you do that all the time in your calls. And one of our dear friends, Greg Bricknell, I have a call with him tomorrow. I'm so excited. I haven't talked to him in ages. But you know what? It is on Amazon. If anybody in Alberta or Edmonton area, I'm doing a book signing in St. Albert at the Perron bookstore, or at the bookstore in Perron Street in St. Albert. And but find a passion. You know what? Go back to being a kid. Do you know what? Find a book that you read as a kid. I found 2. My cousin helped me find 2 that I read when I was 9 years old. And it was Vicky Gets Her Silver Wings. And that made me want to be a stewardess. But I was too short and wore glasses. And then when I was growing up, you couldn't do that. So, but I have so many stories, and I am getting out there more, sharing them. And I went to this writer's retreat. But my heart really still is working with somebody and helping them move forward. And in the new year, I'm going to be putting out, you said you have so much to do with your business, is like, I just want to be there, and it's the work getting there, just, but I am going to put something out, and it's, I did a podcast on, people would say, oh, you've got a wonderful life. And I says, yeah, I created it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting it out there in the new year. You want to create your life? Come on, I'll help you.
I love that. So typically, I know we're past a little bit here. Typically, Kimberly comes on and she does the fundamental section of the show. Due to scheduling issues like crazy, she is not able to be here today. So I will ask you, Janet, what are your 3 fundamentals? And fundamentals, how we say it, is capital FUN/DUH/mentals. And so if you were to pass away tomorrow, what are the 3 things that you want people to remember you by, how you lived your life by?
That I live full out. If somebody said I couldn't do it, I would do it. And maybe not the way they thought it should be done, but hey, I don't care. I can teach you all kinds of tricks.
Right.
What I'd like to see on my tombstone, no regrets.
Ooh.
Everything in my life, ups and downs, whatever, I don't want to change a thing, because you know what? I am happy. My kids are healthy. I have amazing friends. We created travel in our life without, a so-called nest egg. And I don't want people, and coming up in 2026, I'm taking a group of people, and it's going to call the Magic of Play on an Alaska cruise. So, hey.
Love that. Wow. All right. And where can people find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. So Janet Wisawati, they can copy my name down. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. And if you want to Google me, or YouTube, I've got some of my stories and stuff and interviews on there. And I am everywhere, guys. You'll find me. I don't have a website right now. During COVID, I shut it down and just changed. My business is called Worldly Connections, because you know what? It takes all of us all our connections to get to where we want to be.
Absolutely. All right, friends. Thanks for joining us today. And thank you for those of you on the replay. And don't forget, be unstoppable in all that you do. And same time, same channel next week. Bye for now.